Where on earth is Dr. Eve? Hey, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to Touch One Life, Touch Millions, the podcast, the place where we find relationships with each other and how we can combat adverse life experiences together using online social support group business models. I am Dr. Eve, and guess where I am today? I'm home. I'm home. So, my title said, Where on earth is Dr. Eve? Because I'm always somewhere. And I don't want y'all to get used to where I am. Why? Because that's the beauty of being able to develop a business model where you can work from anywhere in the world. It's unpredictable. Where I am on earth is unpredictable, and I like it that way. Excited to be back before you on Friday. It's Friday, everyone. It's a weekend, and I want to talk about what should you be doing if you are a traveler. What should you be doing if your profession allows you to travel hither and thither? So, I want to talk a little bit about some things that you need to be considering if you have built an OSG business model, which means an online support group business model where you can work from anywhere in the world. Then I need you to also be considering, because you can be anywhere on planet Earth, I need you to be considering self care after traveling. Self care after traveling, wherever it is you've been on the earth. Self care after traveling is really important. And it's good. Friday is a good day to talk about that. Why? We're going into the weekend, and there's some things that you might need to consider. Some things I wrote down that I want to give you some tips on what you should be thinking about. And I'm holding myself accountable to that. Listen, I am holding myself accountable to this because why? I travel a lot. I am an OSG business model, and I work from all points in the world, which means that sometimes you got to take care. You got to step back, take a few seats, and take care of yourself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Eve, your community health and human service educator and qualitative researcher, where we talk about getting the most out of our work traveling, right? So, self care after traveling. What are some of the things? And y'all, I hope I'm not going to be fighting Mr. B back here, because listen, here where I am on earth today, I have been fighting these carpenter bees. And I tell you, they ain't no joke. The male be protecting that female while she building big bores inside of the wood if you're not careful. So I've had this problem with them, and so I'm really working out. And there's no wood around here, so I'm not sure why he are all around here bothering me. But okay, let's get back to this video that's at hand. The one thing about doing a podcast and being live is that, y'all, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be authentic, because what we want to be is relatable to our population. So if you are out there considering an OSG business model, which is an online support business model that helps you to help others, deal with some of the most adverse experiences. Maybe it was your lived experience. I believe in sharing stories here. Most of building this thing was about how do I how do I use my story to help someone? How do I use my experiences to show other people how to overcome? How do I use my experiences to testify to the goodness of Jesus the Christ? Because that's what I believe. So, how do you do those things, right? So, an OSG, online social support group business model, allows you to build a business online. That's all. But we have a strategic way of doing that, because facilitation is a process. It's a process that I teach at the collegiate level, and I share that in the business development of OSG business models. So let's talk about this best practices for taking care of yourself after you have traveled maybe a week or so. Okay, so I'm just coming back off of a trip from Miami. So one of the things you want to do is stay hydrated. You want to get hydrated because what does traveling do? It has you, depending on where you go, your water might not be good. Like I was in Mexico last month, the water wasn't good. So I'm faced with some hydration issues, right? So one of the things you want to do is hydrate because traveling can be dehydrating. So drink plenty of water during or after your trip. Now, in some instances, like I said, in Mexico, I couldn't drink the water. I couldn't like drink the water at the restaurants. Like some people got sick because maybe they were using the water cooking the food. You just never know. You have to be very careful. Two, the next thing you want to do is prioritize your rest, getting enough sleep, right? When we are building an OSG model, which is an online support group business model, it we have access to our phones all the time. We have access to people all the time, but we have to be very very careful. Just because we have access to people all the time or can meet people wherever they are, we must also set up boundaries to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So prioritize getting enough sleep. It's the weekend, y'all. Take a nap, right? Or better yet, incorporate a nap in your schedule, baby. Siesta time, right? Because guess what? There are some places where things just absolutely shut down. I know when I was in Dubai, there was a part of the day where people just shut down and they do take naps, right? The next thing you want to do is eat well, eat healthy, nutritious food. Why? Because a lot of times when we are on the road, we're just picking up whatever we can eat. Why? Because we don't have access to our normal routine. Like my normal routine for me would be to get up and get some good fruit in a blender or some good veggies or something, a cucumber and some celery, and mix it up in a blender and drink it. Why? Because that's I'm getting my greens real early. As much as I can get my greens real early, the better off I am. So eat well. Go ahead and detox your body really good. Eat healthy, nutritious food. The next thing you want to do is get some exercise, right? If you're anything like me, you're going to find you're going to exercise while you are out of town anyway. If you're staying at a hotel, there's usually a facility there on the grounds you can walk, or better yet, take a nice long walk somewhere, right? Take a nice long walk somewhere. Get Can help with the muscles, muscle stiffness, right? I know that flying on airplanes, sometimes depending on how long you fly, your legs are not getting the circulation that you're used to getting because you're sitting for so long. So you want to make sure that you're getting that body circulating, getting those muscles circulating, and that stiffness resolved. Take breaks from technology. Why? Because an OSG, like I said again, an OSG business model keeps you in front of your devices, right? Because you are working with people from all across the world, which means that again, you have to take a break from technology. Put it down, set hours, set timers, make sure that you are not overwhelming yourself with technology because you need that break. This is after traveling. We're talking about, where am I on the earth? I could be anywhere. So because I'm not predictable, I'm just giving you some tips on self-care. It's Friday and it's a good time to integrate something. If you've been on the road all week, here are some tips for you. For you who are working at home, for you who are working in another country, for you who are working in another state, or wherever it is you working. Maybe you at the beach, baby, because guess what? OSG business models allow us to be able to do that, right? Give your mind a break from stimulus and stop using technology about 1 hour before bed. One of the things that I found, like I even said to my son this morning, I was had the privilege of getting up early, which I don't like to get up early, but okay. Um, to go to my granddaughter's first award ceremony. Y'all, she cleaned up them awards. Can I tell you, she took it away in math, she took it away in reading, and she took away a terrific kid. She's in kindergarten, and this was her first award ceremony, and I tell you, she knocked it out of the park. But having that flexibility of being able to go to that is another benefit of the OSG business model. So if you would like to learn more about that, please make sure that you hit the clip you hit the website that's in my description box below. Now, the reason why I said you should give yourself a break from stimulus 1 hour before bed, because what I experienced last night, this morning, I think was a direct result because I did not stop the stimulus of technology before I went to bed. As a matter of fact, I felt like I was sleepwalking this morning. Like, even though I know I went to bed not at a decent hour. I didn't follow my own rules. Didn't follow everything I'm telling you. Some of these things I haven't followed. Some of these things I have to keep retelling myself, reminding myself as well of what I need to be doing. So I didn't get to bed early, but and I didn't stop the device an hour before. Could it be that the reason why I feel like I didn't rest much was because I did not stop the technology an hour before? Maybe I should try it, right? So I'm going to hold myself accountable to stopping the device before I an hour, at least an hour before I go to rest. Maybe I won't have that hangover feeling, because that's what I felt like. I had a hangover, but I don't drink. I don't none of those things, right? I don't had no reason for, maybe it was technology hangover. Hey, is there such a thing? Maybe. Okay. So give yourself your mind a break from any stimulus and stop using technology about 1 hour before bed. I want you to practice these tips for yourself this weekend, because if you are OSG business model, then again, like I said, we travel a lot, we move, we're on the go a lot. Where we gonna be in the earth is unpredictable. Why? Because we have that privilege, and I enjoy having that privilege. Another thing is be active. Take long walks before your trip. I didn't take long time. Y'all know what? I got a real problem with that piece. You know why? Because I feel like I always work myself to the bone before I get ready to travel. Because I have this thing. I have this thing in my mind that everything in my house got to be spick and span before I get on that plane. Why? Because I have this thing that when I get back to the house, I don't want I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to want to look. I just want to put the suitcase down. I'll unload it when I unload it. And I don't want to do anything when I'm coming off of traveling. So that can be problematic because I'm burned out before I even get on the plane. So talk to y'all sister, right? Please talk to y'all sister about that, because I don't need to be burned out before I get on the plane. But I always be burned out before I get on the plane. Matter of fact, I don't get no rest because sister don't even pack the suitcase. Like, she knew she was having that look, the travel been scheduled since last year. She knew she had that. Me y'all. She knew she had this trip coming up. And why do I wait every time the night before to pack my suitcase? Why? I ain't figured that part out yet, y'all. I ain't figured that part out. Anyway, these are some tips I just want to leave with y'all. I know my title said "Where on Earth is Dr. Eve?" because I'm a traveler. I'm a OSG traveler, traveling business. Why? Because um, my research showed me in 2016 that there was a super demand for online social support business models, because everywhere in the world, people need access, they need education, and they need support. I'm the support I needed all those years ago. I bridged the gap between you and me by being here today, even just to share those tips that I just shared with you. We use this idea or model as a way to reach the masses. It's really, really important that we begin to think outside of the boxes of traditional pathways of employment, so where we are servant leaders. We're servant leaders who are who are in institutions that frustrate us, where some of our greatest fears exist, right? Where we can't we're dealing with bureaucracy, we're dealing with heavy caseloads. If you're building an OSG business model, you get to dictate what that looks like. You get to dictate your client base. You get to expand your market into other parts of the world. You get to look. We even help you find your money, right? So I just want you to know that this is a cool thing. It's a cool thing. We help you find your audience. We help you identify your why, understand your strength zone, identify some of your adverse experiences as a person. Why? Because one of the things about building an online support group business model is that you have to be relatable. Your consumer, you have to develop, you have to have some shared values with other people. For me, my share 60 something years of experiences, I share some values. I share something with somebody right out here in this world. I share an experience or two with some people. And so it's about sharing and helping others to overcome adverse lived experiences. And we do that based on our own experiences. By we lived some things, we learned some things, we utilize some good tools on how to get well, be better, to grow, to get beyond, and to succeed in life. So this model is not for the weak, but it's for the great. It's for the people who don't mind cultivating community, right? Because God has called us to lead. He has called us to solve problems, right? And if adverse lived experience has been a thing, it's been a thing for most of us, right? In one way or another, there's been an experience or two, whether it was for me, I think about growing up as a child, growing up, you know, with a with issues around school, growing up, you know, as a premature baby, you know, prematurity, you know, develop, you know, growing up as a toddler, all those things, growing up in a household, large family, growing up in a large household, growing up in the city, right? What's that thing for you, right? Going to college, a first generation college student. You know, what is your relatable thing? So the thing is, there are billions of people, billions of people in the world, and YouTube is one of the largest platforms, distribution platforms in the world. Why do I know that? Because I study technology. My book, How to Integrate Technology and Practice, you know, I studied three geographical regions across the country on how to utilize mobile applications for addiction relapse. Why? Because that's also a problem. Did I have, as a young person, I had an encounter. I had an experience. So that's important to me to relate to people. Change theory is hard. People have to want that for themselves. Like I was a young adult when these things were going on. We were faced with a lot of things, you know, after going through DV situations, domestic violence. You know, what's your story? What are you called to share? What are you called to help people out of? What how are you cultivating community? So for me, I cultivate it from a very natural standpoint of what's my testimony, God? What do you want me to tell the people today? Right? Because his word says we overcome by our testimonies, right? That's not verbatim. I'll get you that scripture so you can make sure that you have it. I want to know why this guy just mowed this grass, but he did not cut down this forest over here. So I'm gonna have to do that myself, I guess. All right, y'all. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. If you are liking this content, please subscribe to my channel because we are building this podcast over here. Touch One Life, Touch Millions. Why? Because we are fishers of men. We are out here to find the one. If it's just the one, touch one life, touch millions. God said, lead the 99. What we do, go after the one, right? So this Touch One Life, Touch Millions is a part of my brand. We also have merchandise which we sell and hope that you resonate with this channel as well and that you will come aboard. You will come aboard and use innovative approaches to manifest your wealth and excellence. It has afforded me the opportunity to work from any point in the world on purpose. When I say on purpose, y'all, I mean on purpose. There's nothing that's more meaningful than living life like Christ would want us to live it, right? Because he was what? He was the best social worker ever. Look at Luke. Read Luke. I mean, he was the best social worker ever. He showed us how to do this thing, right? And what we don't get hung up on when we the difference between institutional and you're building an online OSG business model is you don't have to deal with the bureaucracy. You don't have to deal with the ethical those unethical practices that some of these institutions want you to live by. Not being able to, if you are faith based, some people struggle with that, right? But you can identify and relate to an audience that understands you, right? Your audience might be faith based, right? And if they're faith based, you can continue to pour into them, right? You can have, these conversations that would allow you the freedom, right? Because God makes us bold believers. We're bold believers. I'm called to stand in the gap no matter where I am in the world. He has called us to be bold in everything that we do. And when something is happening in the world that doesn't represent him, you know what he calls us to do? Stand up for him, because every single one of us were born to do a thing, to solve a problem, and to stand in his moral, intellectual, and spiritual care, in the moral, intellectual, and spiritual character of God while we're doing that, right? That's what I love about the beauty of the OSG business model, right? And we help you to do all of that. We help you to identify your why, build your signature, all the things, y'all. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it grows over time. And you build. It's about building community, cultivating community that's based on some shared value that you have, right? So when we talk about creating content, even you create, for example, I just gave you some examples of things you should be doing because we travel all the time. We supposed to mobile anytime, mobile anywhere. That's what this work is about. Mobile anytime, mobile anywhere. So you got some shared problem. Look back over your life. What's your Uber story, right? We help you find your Uber story where you pick people up and you drop them off. What point in your life can you pick a person up with an experience that you had, a shared problem, and when you can drop them off? Is there something like that where you can build community around and you can help others and you can build a signature and you can facilitate conversation? Yes, there is. We all have it, right? Cultivate a loyal community online. That's what I'm doing right here. Why? Because I got stories. I got stories galore. I got stories, and I'm so grateful to God. He didn't waste one single thing, and He won't. He won't waste a single thing in your life. He will use He will use the foolish things to confound the wise. That's what the word says, right? Anyway, it allows you to be vulnerable about your own frustrations. So I'm excited about building with y'all. OSG business models are the best, and we help you find your money too, because I'm a grant writer, contracts, all the things, right? I'm excited, having built an enterprise, having built the ability to do this work, and from anywhere in the world is amazing. And God used everything. He used everything in my life and ordered steps. Say, don't trespass on nobody else's property now, because I gave you your own stories, right? So I just want you, if you are interested in learning more about this work, please, chime down in the comment section. We want to be able to help you and get you started. But most of all, I'm going to be sharing tips and tools on how to get started here with an OSG business model. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. Make sure you subscribe, because when you subscribe, at least you'll know when I'm live, okay? Because it'll email you and let you know, hey, Dr. Eve is live. So I'm excited today. Make sure that you go back and check out the tips that I just gave you about the things you need to be doing this weekend as you are coming off of a travel week. You want to make sure that you are integrating the tools necessary to get you some rest. So what did we talk about? Did anybody here remember what we talked about? We said best practices for self care after traveling. We said hydrate, right? Number one, hydrate. Two, rest, right? Number three, eat well, nutritious, right? Four, move, right? Five, take breaks from social media. Number six, give your mind a break, right? From any stimulus before going to bed. Number seven, be active. Take long walks. before your trip or other options while traveling. So 7 tips were given to you about what you should be doing after you're coming off of a period of travel as an OSG business model facilitator on online social support group facilitator. You are facilitating a business model that's where your work is online. Okay, you want to learn more about that, visit my website at www.dreevangelsavage.com. We got a new cohort that's coming up, and we're going to walk you through those processes. Peace and blessings, everyone. May you have the most amazing day, whatever you do on this journey. Let no one get in the way on your journey to becoming who God called you to be as we touch one life and touch millions. Peace and blessings.